In this video, I'll walk you through the ThinkTickle Performances page. 2 tabs. The Watchlist tab turns every symbol you pinned from the scanner into a live paper trading account. The system captures your entry price at pin time and tracks the running P&L from that exact level. The EOD Report tab is the daily accountability scorecard for GoldenMicros and the TradeSheet, every signal the platform fired, every entry, every outcome, transparent and timestamped. Performances lives at the Performances route, note the S, accessible from the Results group in the More menu. The page is free for all account tiers. Header reads ThinkTickle with the Performances subtitle. 2 tab buttons next to it, Watchlist and EOD Report. Watchlist is the default. When you're on the Watchlist tab, an updated timestamp shows in the header along with a live or closed status indicator. During market hours, prices repull every 5 seconds, off hours, every 60. The last successful snapshot is cached in local storage, so when you reopen the page you see the previous state instantly, not a blank screen waiting for the first pull. If your watchlist is empty, the page shows a hint, no symbols in your watchlist yet, pin symbols using the star on any scanner row. That's the only way symbols get here. The scanner is the source of truth for what's on the watchlist. Here's the core mechanic. When you pin a symbol from the scanner, or anywhere else with a watchlist star, the system records the live price at that moment as your captured price, and the timestamp as your captured time. From there forward, the Performances page tracks your running unrealized P&L as if you had entered the trade at that exact price. Effectively a paper trading account that's wired straight into the scanner. No simulator UI to set up, no order tickets to fill, just pin the names the scanner finds. Come back later, see how they did. 2 weeks of doing this honestly gives you a calibrated sense of which scanner signals work for your style before you risk real capital. Below the header is the sort toolbar. For sort modes, trade % sorts by your paper trading P&L from best to worst. This is the default when you have captured entries, the names that delivered on top, the laggards on the bottom. today's high percent sorts by the biggest intraday move from the open, independent of when you pinned. Useful for spotting the day's runners across the whole watch list regardless of entry timing. Off-high sorts by how far each symbol has pulled back from its peak. Negative on top, the names that already faded. Use this to spot reload candidates or to know which names to take off the list. Alphabetical, when you just want to find a specific ticker fast. Back to trade percent for the rest of the walkthrough. On the right side of the toolbar is the legend. A small sky blue chip means trade performance, your captured entry to now. A small emerald chip means today's high from open. The same colors recur on every row's bars so you can read the chart style strip without rechecking the legend each time. Each watch list symbol gets its own performance row. Let me break down what you're seeing. Top line, the symbol in bold on the left, the current now price, the added price in sky blue with the captured timestamp, and the day high in emerald. The capture time format is smart. Today shows as for example today 9:42 a.m., older entries show the date and time. On the far right of the top line, the big trade performance number. Bold sky blue when positive, red when negative. This is the single number you skim first, the percentage move from your captured entry to right now. Below the top line, 2 bars. First, the trade P&L bar, sky blue fill when positive, red fill when negative, scaled relative to the largest absolute trade percent on the page. The fill represents your current unrealized P&L. Look for a thin emerald vertical line on this bar. That marker is the high since you captured the entry, your peak unrealized profit. If the current sky blue fill ends at the emerald marker, you're still at the top of the move. If the fill ends well short of the marker, the move already happened and pulled back. That's the visual cue that you missed the optimal exit. Second bar, have the today bar. Emerald fill when the stock is up from the open, red fill when it's gapped up and faded below the open. A white vertical line marks the current price relative to the bar's open to high range. Reading the two bars together is the whole point of this view. If your trade P&L is plus 3% and the today bar shows the white marker right at the high, the stock is still running. If trade P&L is plus 3% and the today bar shows the marker pulled back from the right edge, the optimal exit already happened. Below the bars is a single thin scale line, the captured price label on the left, the current and high prices on the right. Quick anchor for what the bars are actually rendering. Click any symbol name to open the chart panel on the right. The standard chart panel slides in. Same chart you see on the scanner and dashboard, preloaded with the selected ticker. Use it to visually anchor where your captured entry sits relative to the day's price action. Was the pin at a clean breakout? At the wrong end of a range? The chart tells you. Click the symbol again to close the panel. Now the other tab, EOD Report. EOD Report is the daily accountability scorecard for the platform's own signals. Two sections in the current UI, GoldenMicros and TradeSheet. The God mode payload is still produced by the backend for internal tooling, but the UI focuses on the surfaces users actually act on. Top of the EOD tab is the Controls row. A date picker defaults to today's date in Eastern Time, important because after 8 p.m. ET, a UTC-based default would roll over to tomorrow and silently load the wrong day. Pick any past trading date to review its performance. Then click Load Report. The button shows loading while it fetches. When the report comes back, two new controls appear. A subtle inline note describing the bar legend, green equals day high from entry, the right aligned label equals close from entry. and a compact/normal toggle on the far right. Compact mode reduces row padding so you see more signals on screen at once. Useful when the day had 30+ hits in GoldenMicros and you want to scroll efficiently. Normal mode is the default, comfortable spacing for reading individual rows. First section, GoldenMicros. These are the intraday breakout and momentum hits, the engine that fires throughout the day on the scanner. Hits get grouped into sub-strategies. Confirmed shows up first at full opacity with the label confirmed, matches scorecard, meaning every hit in this group is the version that gets counted in the official scorecard metric. Early shows up second at slightly reduced opacity with the label early, pre-confirmation signals. These are the same engine firing slightly before the confirmation threshold, included for completeness but excluded from the headline scorecard number. If any other strategies fire, runners V2, shorters, whatever the engine spawned that day, they render as their own labeled group after early. Each strategy group has 4 stat pills. Hits, total signal count. Percent gain green, the fraction of resolved signals that had any positive max excursion after firing. Average max after signal, the average peak move across all hits. Average close from entry, the average unrealized P&L if you held every hit to the 4 p.m. close. Watch the gap between average max after signal and average close. If max after signal is plus 4% and close is plus 1%, the engine is right about direction but the moves fade. That means you need to take profit intraday, not hold to the bell. If they agree, the moves are durable. Below each stat row is the signal table. 4 columns. Symbol, the ticker that fired. Entry, the price at signal time. Max after signal, the peak price reached after firing, in emerald. And percent gain, the visual gain bar showing the magnitude of that peak move. Bars are scaled relative to the day's biggest gainer, so the relative size tells you which hits were the standouts. Second section, trade sheet. These are the structured morning ideas with defined entry, target, and stop. The trade sheet is the surface where the team commits to specific levels before the open and lets the market grade them honestly. For stat pills here too. Any gain, how many ideas went green at any point during the day, out of total resolved. This used to be target hit, but the team renamed it. The reason matters. Target hit used to count only ideas that literally touched the target price. But targets for some setups are deliberately generous. A clean long with a 5% target might run 4.5% and still get scored as 0 for the day. The any gain metric counts the trade as positive if max favorable excursion was greater than 0, which is what the trader actually experiences. Honest reframing of the same data. Stop hit, how many ideas got stopped out. Average high from entry, the mean of the best case excursion across all ideas. Average close from entry, the mean of where each idea closed relative to entry. Same max versus closed gap reading discipline as GoldenMicros applies here. The trade sheet signal table has 5 columns. Symbol. Direction, long or short, color-coded emerald or red. Entry, the structured entry price. Day high, the peak price reached that day, in emerald. And percent gain, the gain bar. Rows that hit their target render with a subtle emerald background tint. Rows that hit their stop render with a subtle red background tint. Rows still open or unresolved have no tint. Scan the column of colored backgrounds for the instant visual read of how the day went. On the right side of the trade sheet stat row, a small timestamp tells you when that day's trade sheet was generated. Useful for verifying you're looking at the pre-open commitment, not a backfit after the fact. Honest framing on the whole page. Watchlist captures the price at pin time, but it doesn't account for slippage fees, or the practical question of whether you'd actually have held the trade. EOD report shows what the signals did, not what you would have done. And the any gain rename is the most important honesty signal in the UI. It tells you the team is willing to redefine their own metrics when the original definition was misleading. Take both numbers at face value, not as a guarantee. For workflows for the Performances page. First, the paper trading week. For 2 weeks, pin every scanner setup you'd actually consider taking. Don't pin everything, that turns the watch list into noise. Pin like you'd trade. End of every day, open the Watchlist tab sorted by trade percent. The top names are the wins you should have taken, the bottom names are the trades you would have lost on. 2 weeks is enough to calibrate your filter. Second, the morning review. Before the open, switch to the EOD report and load yesterday's date. Scroll the GoldenMicros confirmed section. The hits and their average max after signal tell you what kind of day yesterday was, and what kind of follow-through to expect today. Then read TradeSheet's any gain over total resolved. If it was high yesterday in similar market conditions, today's TradeSheet probably grades well too. Third, the gap audit. Once a week, EOD report on a strong day. Look at the gap between average max after signal and average close. If the gap is big, say +4 max but +1 close, the day was full of false starts that needed to be exited fast. That tells you to be more aggressive about partial profits in similar conditions. Small gap means the moves were durable, you could have held to the bell. Fourth, the strategy split. Compare GoldenMicros confirmed stats to early stats over a few days. Confirmed will always be more conservative, it waits for the confirmation threshold. Early will have more hits, often with comparable or slightly worse follow-through. If early consistently beats confirmed on average max after signal, that's data on whether the confirmation threshold is too cautious for your style. On mobile, the watch list rows stack, symbol on top, bars below, scale below that. Sort buttons collapse to a horizontally scrolling row. The chart panel takes over the full screen when you tap a symbol. EOD Report's date picker is the native iOS or Android date picker. The stat pills wrap to multiple rows, the tables horizontally scroll. Everything works, but desktop is more comfortable for the long signal tables. That's performances. Watchlist is your live paper trading account, wired into the scanner, pin the names you'd trade, sort by trade percent, watch the gap between fill and the emerald high marker. EOD Report is the daily accountability scorecard, GoldenMicros and TradeSheet, every signal, every entry, every outcome. Use both daily. The watchlist tells you about your judgment, the EOD report tells you about the system. The space between the two is where your edge lives. Pin honestly. Read the gap.